What if I were to tell you that there is no such thing as subtraction? Whoa! If there's no such thing as subtraction, it makes so much of math so much easier because all we'll have to deal with is addition. So it's a little bit of a stretch of the truth to say there's no such thing as subtraction, but the cool thing about subtraction is that it can always be written as addition. That is our secret trick to subtracting negative numbers. Let's take a look at a simple example. Let's start with something that's fairly straightforward, and I'm pretty sure you could do this anytime without this lesson. 9 minus 5. We all know it's 4, but let's turn subtraction into addition. The definition of subtraction, to subtract a number, is to add its opposite. To subtract a number, we add its opposite. The technical term for that is we add its additive inverse. Additive inverse and opposite are essentially the same thing as far as we're concerned right now. So I have 9 minus 5. I just said subtraction is the same as adding the opposite of a number. So to subtract here, I say 9, I'm going to add the opposite of 5, which is negative 5. Oh, this is beautiful. Now we have something we know. Adding positive and negative numbers. To add positive and negative numbers, if the signs are different, we subtract the absolute values, and then we take the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. Absolute value of 9 is 9, absolute value of negative 5 is 5, 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 has a bigger absolute value, it's positive, so this gives us 4. Beautiful. Well, let's try another one. What if I have 4 minus 7? I've said there's no such thing as subtraction, meaning I can write subtraction as addition. So I write this as 4 plus the opposite of 7. The opposite of 7 is negative 7. So this becomes 4 plus negative 7. And then I follow what I've learned about adding numbers when one of them is negative. I look at the absolute value of these two numbers. Absolute value of 4 is 4. Absolute value of negative 7 is 7. Subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. So we know this is going to be some form of 3. Negative 7 has a larger absolute value, so I take that sign. So this becomes negative 3. So what I'm doing right now is I am rewriting all subtraction as addition. Well, let's try another one. What happens if we have subtraction where the first number is also negative? So I have negative 4 minus 3. Well, I'm starting at negative 4 and I'm subtracting 3. So the operation here is subtraction. So that's what I'm going to be dealing with, turning subtraction into, addition. So this becomes negative 4 plus the opposite of 3 plus negative 3. Now I'm adding two numbers with the same sign, so I just add their absolute values and use the sign of those numbers. The absolute value of negative 4 is 4, absolute value of negative 3 is 3, 4 plus 3 is 7. These numbers are negative, so this becomes negative 7. So there's another really interesting situation when I'm subtracting a negative number. It's going to look a little bit different. So if I have negative 6 and I'm subtracting negative 2, well, subtracting a negative number means I'm taking away some negatives. So there are a few different ways to think of this. When you first learned subtraction, when you were a wee little person, someone probably used the term takeaway for subtraction, and it's a really pretty useful term. If I have negative 6 and I'm taking away negative 2, well, I have negative 6, I'm taking away 2 of those negatives, that's going to leave me with negative 4. If I look at this with the idea that there's no such thing as subtraction, that all subtraction can be written as addition, well, now it becomes -6. Subtraction becomes addition. I will be adding the opposite of -2. I will be adding the opposite of -2. The opposite of -2 is 2. And once again, I end up with a situation where I'm adding negatives and positives. Look at the absolute values of the two numbers, subtract them, use the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So 6 minus 2 is 4. The -6 has the larger absolute value, so I'll use the negative sign. This becomes -4. Occasionally, our result will be negative, and occasionally, our result will be positive. Here's an example where it would be positive. -3 minus -7. Subtraction is adding the opposite of a number. So I'm starting with -3, and I'm adding the opposite of -7, which is 7. -3 plus 7. Subtract the absolute values. 7 minus 3 is 4. Use the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. This becomes 4. Voila!